our mission actually covers 3 countries. It covers Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. And currently, there are actually missionaries in all 3 now. When I was there, I was about a year in, and we were allowed to finally send missionaries into Laos. They weren't allowed to wear their proselyting name tags. They had a little white name tag that said like Deseret Charities or something. They weren't allowed to proselyte outside the church, but they were only allowed to teach English, do some community service. But if someone approached them at the church, they would teach them. And that's actually one of our fastest growing branches right now is in Laos. And the Laotian government is being very friendly to the church, and it's going to be better and better in the future. And then in Myanmar, that actually happened 6 months ago, I think. So I've been home a year and a half, so it happened at my year mark coming home. They allowed the same thing to go into Myanmar. Since relations between the United States and Myanmar are getting a lot more friendly, they finally allowed missionaries into there. So it was a really big experience because there had been one proselyting missionary ever to serve in Myanmar before that. And he was a native, I don't know, I call him Burmese, but he was native to Myanmar at that time, and it was only for like a month or 2 that he was able to proselyte, and then he was called to Australia. But one of the most unique things about Thailand is probably each region of the country has different dialects. The northern has a completely different dialect than the eastern part or the southern part or central Thailand, and it really is so much fun to learn like a whole new language when you're in the field, because it is very similar. But one thing that was always encouraged to me by my trainer and everything else was to learn how to speak like the people, because they respect you on a whole new level. And that's really how the church grows over there, because there's so many different Christian faiths over there, but it really sets us apart because they normally don't get taught by Americans. And they're very shocked when they can see that Americans or anyone outside of Thailand can speak Thai on a level that they can understand. Because some people go over there and they tour and they learn a little bit of Thai here and there, but they're always very shocked. And that actually is a very influential part in getting the church's name out. The church is big. Everyone you go to, anyone you talk to on the street, they know you immediately. They know who missionaries are. They may have never met them, but they know them as the 2 white guys who ride bikes in funny clothes. Because riding around in a shirt and tie is definitely not common over there in 120 degrees. But the church, I know it was a rough start, because I know in the time of Joseph Smith, missionaries were originally sent to Thailand. Back then it was called Siam, and it covered the kingdom of Laos and Cambodia and stuff before they split off. But and the language was apparently so incomprehensible, and at that time Christianity was actually illegal in Thailand. So the missionaries were poisoned when they first arrived in the 1800s. And so they left pretty immediately because their lives were in danger at the time. But then when the first group of missionaries were sent from Taiwan into Thailand, they were received very, very well. They had audiences with the king, which is still the reigning king today. He's the longest living monarch in the history of the world, actually. And it blossomed after that. The missionaries were able to get themselves out there through various service projects. There was also, this is going to be interesting because it's not very common, there was actually a band, a missionary rock band that would hold concerts anywhere from like the 70s up to the 90s, actually. Like, it was, what were they called? I can't remember what they were called. Lisu Tishon, Yukso Thai. That's what the Thai name that they were called. I think it was, I can't remember. It'll probably pop up to me again, but they actually did have a rock band, and it was kind of cool. They wrote gospel-oriented songs. They wrote one, it was a little spin-off of I'm a Child of God, about a Thai children's story about a butterfly, but in its caterpillar state before it actually became a butterfly. And it was just kind of cool. Just, they would express and preach the gospel through music. And then eventually that was shut down, and Thailand has had its ups and downs when it comes to missionary work. When I was there was only 120 missionaries, with I think maximum of 15 native Thai missionaries, and now it's just exploded. It's almost at 200 missionaries, and it's like at least over 25% of that, even more actually, are native Thai missionaries. Actually, when I was leaving the mission field, we have a huge moves meeting over there, and a lot of the kids that I had taught the previous year in a certain branch came up to me, and they had just returned from the Manila, Philippines MTC, and they were pointing at their name tags like, "Look, Elder Ravelli, we're like one of you now." It was a really cool experience because one of them I had seen baptized, and it was a special experience. The church is growing very, very rapidly right now in Thailand, and I know that I've actually met one of the old mission presidents who was first, well, he was a mission president after he was a missionary, and he was just shocked about how fast the church has grown and how strong it is today. It is one of the fastest growing Christian faiths in Thailand.